Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Archana and I'm a homeschooling mom of two boys aged 8 and 3. In today's video, I wanted to share with you our curriculum choices for my third grader for this upcoming year 2020-2021. So as far as math is concerned, we have always chosen Singapore math. I like Singapore math because it's simple, it's rigorous, and it's mastery oriented. And I also chose Singapore math because it sort of reminded me of the way I myself learned math as a child back in India. And I like their mastery oriented approach. And I like that they pick and choose a few concepts every year that they want the child to master before moving on to tougher concepts the next year. And I think this is a wiser approach than exposing a child to a smorgasbord of different concepts that the child, ends up forgetting as he moves on to the next academic year. So we have always gone with Singapore math. But this year, my son will be entering the third grade, and at the end of third grade, he will be tested. He will have to take a standardized test at the end of third grade. So, because Singapore math is very sort of Asian in its approach, I wanted something with Singapore math, but in an American context. So, I went with Math in Focus, which is also by the publishers of Singapore math. So, basically, it's the same approach, but it takes Common Core standards into consideration, and many of the problems are, especially the word problems, are in an American context. So I really liked this approach, but I had already purchased Math and Focus, and only then did I find out that Singapore math was coming out with Dimensions math, which is basically the same thing that I was looking for in Singapore math. And the workbooks are so colorful and so engaging, and I really, really liked them, but I had already purchased Math and Focus, and not that it was too expensive, but I was like, I just didn't want to let this go to waste. So I thought, okay, let's just finish this workbook and maybe next year I can move to Dimensions math. Basically, I believe that as far as math is concerned, you can invest in really cool manipulatives and you can teach your child. But unless a child is working on math by himself or herself every single day, you can't really gain mastery at it. So we basically do a couple of pages every day. So I think the part one is about 200 pages and part two is another 200 pages. So I'm hoping that if my son does just about 2 pages every single day, I'll be able to complete the workbook. So this will be our math curriculum as far as this year goes. Now, as far as science goes, I decided to go with the Well-Trained Minds science curriculum, which is basically divided into physics, chemistry, biology, and earth science. And my son is a little bit advanced in science, and he is passionate about physics and chemistry, and he wanted to study concepts and do experiments and do a lot of hands-on projects. So we went with a much more traditional approach this year, and we decided to do the Well-Trained Minds science curriculum. And I must say, I was a little bit afraid in the beginning, but I'm very happy with it. Because even though it's a traditional approach, it's not workbook oriented. I mean, there is a workbook in which the child basically does copy work and he writes an explanation of the experiment that was conducted to explain that particular unit. So rather than just question, answer, it is an explanation of the experiment that was conducted and copy work of the major concepts learned. So, as far as workbook is concerned, that really relieved us. And the spine for it is the Usborne Science Encyclopedia, which is so good. It's brilliant. It's really nice. And it has tons of QR codes in each concept that you can get to watch tons of very interesting videos with your child as you're learning the concept. So we decided to go with earth science and astronomy. So it comes with a teacher's guide and a student workbook. And we also have physics and chemistry. We are not doing biology this year because my son didn't want to go into biology this year. But as far as I understand, this is chemistry and physics for the grammar stage, and the grammar stage continues up until 4th grade as far as this curriculum is as far as this curriculum goes. And we're going to take our time with it. We are going to do all of the hands-on experiments. We are going to spend a lot of time reading the additional resources, watching tons of videos on each concept. So I'm hoping to carry this curriculum over to the fourth grade as well. So we're going to take our time with it. And it also comes with 2 additional resources, which you have to purchase on your own, of course. But it is a book of experiments, 101 science experiments for physics and chemistry. And all of the hands-on experiments are based on these books. So basically, the flow of our everyday science is we take 1 unit, we do the hands-on experiments, we read the concept from the Usborne Science Encyclopedia. We watch a whole bunch of videos. If we can, we go into additional resources. If not, we don't read the additional resources. We do our copy work. We write down the outcome of our experiments. And so that's basically it for each unit. And we're really having a good time with these books. Another series of books that I purchased to go along with our science curriculum this year are these Basher science books. Now, if you have a kid like mine who's passionate about science, your kid will love this series of books. Now, these are very witty, very humorous, and their writing style is not at all textbook like. And the thing is that each of these concepts explained in the book, it sort of speaks for itself. The concepts are personified. For instance, energy. Now, energy speaks about himself. He says, mighty and morphing, I exist in many guises and make the universe tick. So it's the same concept, but written in a very witty, humorous, kid-friendly way. And each concept is personified into a male or a female, and it's very interesting. So I'm sure that if you have a science techie kid, you will love it. And Basher Science, the publishers on Amazon, if you check out their page on Amazon, you can see all of the other books that they have. We have physics, chemistry, planet Earth for our earth science curricula, and we also have technology. We also have periodic table, but I can't seem to find it. I think my son was reading it in the car, and it should be in the car. So this is our science curricula for this year, and even though I was a little bit afraid because it was a traditional science curricula from the Well-Trained Mind Press, I was really happy with it because this is the approach my son wanted to take this year. He wanted a whole bunch of hands-on experiments through which to learn the concept, and he is happy with it. And although I need to do my homework as far as setting up these experiments and purchasing the materials prior, I'm really happy that my son's having a good time with science. Okay, so as far as language arts goes, I decided to go with Lightning Literature this year. And Lightning Literature is a secular language arts curriculum that is based on a whole bunch of books. So grammar and composition is taught within the context of the books that the child is reading. So the first couple of weeks, we finished Sarah Plain and Tall. And within the context of Sarah Plain and Tall, we studied adverbs, adjectives, sentence diagramming, etc. Now, after Sarah Plain and Tall, we've moved on to Rickshaw Girl. And I believe the rest of the books for the year include Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Big Wave, Random House Book of Poetry, Charlotte's Web, The Tale of Despero, and The Wheel on the School. So I like the collection of books. I think they're diverse. And I like that grammar and composition is being taught within the context of the books that they're reading. It's a literature-based curriculum. You can find a really good review of the Lightning Literature book up on Project Happy Home's website. So it comes with a student workbook and a teacher guide. And the student's workbook is really colorful, and it's not too it's not too workbooky in the sense it's just a little bit every day, and you can get to read with your child. So I'm really happy with this language arts book. And so as far as history is concerned, we are continuing our history of the world, reading our history of the world. Now, we basically just, read a little bit as part of our morning basket. We're done with part 1 and 2, so we're moving on to part 3. and I don't test him or give him any sort of copy work with this history curriculum. Yeah, and because it's written so well, we sort of do oral narrations every now and then, but we really like this. It reads like a novel, so we read a little bit every single day. Now, one other book that I purchased is this History of the World from the Who Was books. And it's sort of a timeline of world history and a take on global events, but told from the perspective of all the people. So it's timeline based on people's births. So you have here you have on the at the bottom you have the timeline, basically like the Book of Centuries, but you have a timeline here, and each concept is explained as far as the timeline is concerned, and and it tells you all the major people that came about in history. And it's a little gem of a book because it sort of gives you a little idea of where each event took place in history. We've been enjoying reading this, and we also have a whole bunch of books from the Who Was series, and every Friday we read about one person in our morning basket. So our Friday morning basket always has a biography, so we read about one particular person every Friday. So it takes us about a couple of weeks to get through one book because we only read it every Friday. So we've really been enjoying looking at history through these Who Was series books. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing and give me a thumbs up, and please come back for more. Bye bye.